Hello, welcome to Sunday. It is Sunday, like it or not, unless you're in Europe, and then it's Monday, and then happy Monday. Look at this. I feel like I might actually finish Scolla's body today. I think after that I'm gonna need to give his face a little bit of love. Yeah, but yeah, that means we're so close, so very close. I finished, mostly finished the back. Oh, I don't have all the little scales showing on the back, but trust me, they're there. And then we get to go through the exciting process of figuring out how to cut them up for 3D printing. That's going to be super exciting. This is my fourth attempt at getting the forms and the textures and wrinkles and stuff right on the front of them. This is obviously a very, very important part of them, his tummy tum, since that's a big part of what you see when you look at him. I mean, first and foremost, you're going to see his big old lantern eyes, but, you know, this whole part needs to really work. So I keep smoothing it out and trying again, smoothing it out and trying again. I think I've got the final look that I need. Hi Sigrid, how's it going? Still Sunday there? Okay, good. Glad to hear it. Hey, I wanted to give a shout out to all the, hold on, where was this? There's a place that had a list. Oh, here it is. Okay, everyone who subscribed on YouTube in the past day, there was Kirkland Shenginger, thanks for subscribing. Steve Filetto, thank you, sir. Keller Quinn, thank you. Xavier A. And Nick's Monkey and Ice Gutelkin. So yeah, thank you everyone over on the YouTube for subbing. I figure, you know, why not just give a shout out to everyone who subbed since my last stream. Actually, I guess that hasn't been since the last stream. Let me see how many since the last stream. Someone in, I'm going to say these are Chinese characters. Sorry, can't pronounce your name. Lily Faye, Chao Cesar, Zoe Gomez, and let's see, that's the past 2 days. So that'll be good for today. And let's get to work. All you folks over on YouTube will see that this is like a video, I don't know, 30 something on Scolla, so you're probably ready for him to be done. I certainly feel like I'm ready for him to be done. So Sigrid and anyone else in the room, what have you all been up to lately? I've had a crazy hectic week, but I want to hear what your weeks were like. Still keep arguing with myself over these kind of stamps that give some more creases, definition. I've gone back and forth over it so many times. It's got a lot of subtle stuff, but I would love to also go in with a few crisp lines. But once I start adding the crisp lines, hi Aletha, I can't figure out like how to stop. I don't know if that makes sense. Not because I have a compulsion and I just have to keep going, but because I can't find a logical way to. So let me give you an example. I put these lines here, right? And then let's say I want to I just kind of blend them into the rest, so I just continue them on a little bit. You know, break them up as they go. But then it's like, well, now there's 1, 2, 3, 4-ish horizontal elements. If you think about it graphically, just these lines there. It's like, okay, and then is there just this big spot where everything's subtle and it doesn't have any of that? So what I end up doing is I just end up like coating the entire surface with it, and then it tends to end up just too busy. But it's possible, and there's also an order of operation thing going on here. So in this area where I've added the fine scales, if I do these wrinkles over that, it gives me one kind of result. And if I do the scales over the wrinkles, I get a slightly different it definitely obfuscates the horizontal elements a good deal. You like the scales over the wrinkles? Yeah, I think I agree with you. Let's see what happens. I feel like I did this this pattern already, but you know, sometimes they're in a, you know, like I'll have the intensity. So the intensity is 16 here, right? Like maybe last time I did it, my intensity was only at 8, or my intensity was at 32, and so that just gives you a very different, you know, it goes from rhino skin or knuckles to this like softer amphibian skin, depending on where your intensity is set. So I feel like in the mid-teens might be our sweet spot. Maybe that's all it comes down to. I'm gonna go ahead and give that a try on this section. I also want to, whenever possible, go with the flow of these secondary forms. Maybe they're even tertiary forms. Jazzier music. I might get the lines to do what I want here. Let's start with some just hand carving in. Looking for a version of this that kind of warps into the, you know, a lot of these patterns are you know, saggy and bulgy and stuff, and ideally I'd have these lines match them. I wish there was a brush that just gave me this kind of profile, and I know there's a way to like customize your brushes, Like for example, here's this brush that does kind of close to that, but it's just not. Let's see what happens if I turn the intensity down. Yeah, it's still a little too. If it had a little bit of noise or jitter to it, that might work. But there's these subtle offshoots that come. Like if you look at the, is there a way to see that alpha really big? Yeah. So you can see there's that kind of cellular pattern really subtly in between the lines there. And that's giving it that organic quality that just using a brush doesn't necessarily give you. I mean, I could go in and like do all these little things that would, you know, get close to it, but then you're sitting there and just fiddling and fiddling and fiddling, and that is something I do not have time for. I've done plenty of fiddling already. Sigrid says, we have seen some of your old YouTubes again. It was a lot of fun to see your helmet again. What? That helmet is great. Yep, miss the old days. Helmet. If you're talking to me, I don't remember what you're talking about. If you're talking to Aletha, then maybe you're talking about her dragon helmet. Is that what you're talking about? No, because you're talking about old YouTubes, so that must be talking to me. I don't know what you mean. Enlighten me. This is nice music, but I need something a little more energetic this morning. There we go. Now I'm energized. I was up till 5 a.m. of course. I've started in sincerity on getting the backdrop built for the photo shoot for my Colossus, and anytime I start a new project like that, it just hypes my brain up, and you know, I got plenty of sleep the night before, I let myself sleep in, and so yeah, I was just, my brain was not ready for sleepy time last night at all. As a result, I am in that uncanny valley of like hyper and exhausted. Good, I don't drink coffee. Ooh, I should have poured myself some Pepsi. Okay. Now we have wrinkled doodles all over. Let's do some scales over that and see if that is a winner for our final look. That's right, Lisa. No more fiddling, only do. The helmet with horns that you had your phone on. Oh, right. When I was building the Colossus, yeah. That's some old school video right there. Shot, you know, 4 years ago or whatever. I'm trying to... What I need to do is start the scales up here. So the scales start super fine around the face, and then they just kind of get bigger as they go out. So I want to make sure I'm not disrupting that scale progression. And then there's also a little bit of flow from, we'll kind of do this U-shaped thing. But that fades out as it gets lower. Says, I've been watching barrel racing videos on YouTube. Someday I think I'll do that, but not too fast because I don't have very good helping skills. Like riding a barrel down a river? Is that barrel racing? Oh, it means sliding photographs around in Photoshop or in Adobe Premiere. I see. That's what barrel racing is. Okay. I see the racing part. I assume a barrel's going to come into play at some point. No? There's a barrel. Okay, so you're racing. Is that Anna? It looks like Anna. So it's just tight turns around barrels. Is that what I'm getting? It doesn't look nearly as dangerous as the ones where they jump over barriers and stuff. One thing you might notice on the sculpture here is I've got this webbing that I added in underneath all of the little protrusions, and that is just because I'm going to be molding him. All those little spikes that hang down, they would just collect bubbles, so I need that there. And then when I cast him, I'll just cut this area out, which having that amount of cleanup is not ideal, but it's, yeah, just my experience so far has taught me to overcompensate for that sort of thing. Run a horse out and around 3 barrels in a particular pattern. Okay. No, he just rode into a gate. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Whoa! Oh! Ouch! Don't do that. The horse is like, screw this! I'm out of here! This hurts! You skinned my knee! Ow! Oh, no, don't roll over! Oh! Alita, don't do that. Okay. Oh god. No! get special horse insurance for doing that? I need to stop being zoomed in so far. This got me into trouble last time I was doing this, because I ended up with really different scale of scales. When you get up to speed, there can be some unfortunate accidents with barrel racing. I like the scales over the wrinkles that you've been doing so far. Yeah, I don't want to do those things. Already had a horse flip over with me, but thankfully I threw myself out of the saddle in time. Wow. You need a, like a, fighter jets, how they have ejection seats or whatever. You need one of those for a horse. That'd be hilarious. Just like, fly off with a rocket under your seat. You parachute down. Yeah, I like this surface treatment. The only concern that I ran into the last time I was coming close to this treatment was then when you stepped back and looked at the whole thing, it was just kind of a noisy mess. But I don't think that's the case right now. So ideally, on a piece, you've got your primary form. In this case, it's basically a pear, right? Then you got your secondary forms, and that will probably be these ridges. And then your tertiary forms are what hangs onto those. So in that case, the spines and the skin folds that kind of are flopped over them. And then whatever the 4 is, quadrationary, whatever that is, that's these scales and wrinkles. And if your quad level of detail is, well, if any level of detail below is obscuring the one above, then it's not ideal. There is an exception to that, and I think that's color. There are, if you go to, actually I'm going to do this right now just to show you this fun trick. I wish I had my game engine right now, because if you're working in a video game engine and you make this beautiful environment or whatever, and it's got all these textures, all these colors, come on, go to ZBrush Central, you. Stop me in the butt. Oh my gosh. ZBrush Central. I did it! Got to ZBrush Central. Okay. So, here's something that you'll notice in, let's just pick one. Does this guy have color? Okay, so, just mind-blowing cloth work on this, holy cow. But you can see every amazing detail in here, right? Let's see if we did a colored version. Oh no, I think you not do it. No, it's just showing the poly groups. Did I just find a really bad example? Okay. I'm gonna find another example. You have a color version. Okay. Okay, so so this is the thing, is that when a thing is black and white, you can make out so much more detail when it doesn't have the color information on it. And sorry, a lot of these threads, they'll show their beautiful rendered color piece, and then in the black and white, it looks just way better. And here's an exception to the rule because I just love white, and so white and metallic in general is super cool. But show me a cool color. Oh, okay. Here's a good example. So this dude, holy crap! I follow him on every medium. Here's the Zbrush sculpture, you guys. There you go. This is actually a really bad example, come to think of it, because it looks just absolutely stellar, whether it's in color or not. And it doesn't even have a black and white. But I'm doing a really bad job at coming up with examples of stuff. Yeah, so many of these, you can see they're done in, they're not colored. Here's a colored one. Okay. This will be a good example. Guarantee it. Okay, so this looks amazing, obviously. But when you look at the black and white, you can see every little incredible detail. And this is something, black and white photographs don't do this because they're still recording the various, what are they recording? Something. The color red in a black and white photograph looks different than the color blue in a black and white photograph. It's just a different tone, right? So, that is an example. I'm trying to remember where I was going with this. That's an example of where a whatever fourth, fifth level detail, which is color, can obscure a higher level, forms without, because the color usually it hits like around level 3 or 4 when it comes to detail, in my mind, and obscures that quite a bit. Right, okay. Yeah, I got off on that tangent just because I was talking about general noisiness kind of ruining a piece of art, which is what I'm trying to avoid, and I've erased my work on his belly several times because I felt like that's what was happening. But I think whatever the particular chemistry, like I was talking about, the intensity of the wrinkles, the directionality of the scales, the size of the scales, all of this stuff plays into that equation. Evil Bunny 90, how's it going, Evil Bunny? Says, hey Josh, just wanted to say a big thank you for your sculpting tutorials on YouTube. You got me super into sculpting. Awesome, that's my job. That's why I get paid $41 a month through Patreon and $5 a month through YouTube. Appreciate it. Them's the big bucks. Magic Penguin says, Scolla skin looking a bit dry. He must be from Colorado. Yeah, I mean, reptile skin can look dry. That's okay. He's kind of halfway between reptile and amphibian. I mean, so the creature that he is not amphibious at all. Like, they don't like water. They can't swim, and they drown in water. But the reference I'm using for skin, I'm pulling from both reptiles and amphibians. But yeah, hopefully when you look at him, you don't think, oh, there's an aquatic creature. You think more like there's a desert or an underground type of creature. Magic Penguin, have you got a Bloodborne game yet? Or Dark Souls game yet? Don't start with Bloodborne. That game has the worst new user experience of any game, almost any game I've ever played. It's one of my favorite games, but holy crap, they did not follow best practices when it comes to designing introductions to a game. I mean, you could argue that they purposefully subverted new player experience for an aesthetic statement of like, this world is brutal and will not hold your hand and prepare to die a lot. But yeah, it's crazy. Like when you start that game, it's at difficulty level 10. And then through most of the rest of the game, it dips down like between, I don't know, 6 and 9. I don't think it ever, maybe until some of the last bosses, it never gets as hard as it is during the first several hours of the game. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Dottie got caught up with the new Doctor Who. Oh, the new Doctor Who is out? I did not know that. I am not been enamored with Doctor Who the times I've tried to get into it. I did see the Weeping Angels episode, which was super cool. And if more of the episodes were like that, I'd probably be more interested, but most of them seem just very... I don't understand how people feel stakes, like any of the characters are actually imperiled, because it's a lot like the Marvel Universe. I feel the same way about that, which, you know, none of this is saying it's wrong or bad. It's just saying I don't understand. I don't have the right psychology for a chemical compatibility with those franchises, because I feel nothing about the characters being in danger. Because I don't know the rules of the world. The rules seem, whenever they're established, then they're broken. And so it's just like, well, there they are running around doing random stuff. But I'm very happy for people who like it. All right, Sigrid. Good night.
Trembling has remained almost a welcomed friend. Their tears are their meals, tried and fearing the end. Your tower will be brought down, their souls to defend. I beg the healing angels to restore and to mend. Destroyed me once again.
Whoa, you're on a 21-day streak. It's amazing. I wonder if you're you're gonna get to the point where you're never not read. Maybe you did it. Maybe you breached that threshold, and from now on, your books will always be getting read somewhere in the world by someone at some point. Does that include audiobooks? Dottie B says, I like the Doctor because she uses intelligence and logic to figure out how to resolve an issue rather than just fighting it out. Yeah, that's good. I guess because I don't know the rules of the world maybe well enough, like I can't perceive that happening when it's happening because everything just seems totally random. But I believe you that logic is happening. That's one of the things I always liked about Star Trek: The Next Generation was Picard was such a great moderating influence, and his default was always to think through things, which is why the Next Generation movies were always such a weird, like, tonal clash with the show, because then suddenly everyone's Mr. Action Man. You know, you gotta be running and jumping and shooting and... yeah. Got plenty of movies with running and jumping and shooting. Don't need every franchise to be about that. See, I'm getting, these scales are much smaller than on this side. Alita says, no, the pages read only includes my books that are checked out through Kindle Unlimited. Oh, okay. I guess audiobooks could somehow be in that, but they aren't in it. I just get straight sales from those. Yeah, we just finished the Netflix show called Maniac, which I read a really interesting article about how there were artistic decisions made about the writing of it that were heavily influenced by Netflix's data. Like, you know, they know how long people watch and when they stop episodes and start episodes and binge them and blah blah blah. And the creator was talking about how he had wanted to put a particular episode in the middle. I can't remember what the element was, but they got notes back from, you know, the data people. It was like, well, if you put that type of element in the middle of a season, it will have a, you know, like 20% drop off in people binging the episodes. And so the decision was made to do a different type of episode there instead. because apparently it's super important to Netflix for people to binge watch. I was just reminded of that because, you know, talking about the kind of data that's collected from people reading your books. It's interesting to think how that data can be used and influence art. Like, I know in Guild Wars we have super good breakdowns of, you know, all sorts of data, you know, how long people play, what their favorite race is, what skills they use the most, and that helps us design the game better, you know, for going forward. And so I don't think there's anything like necessarily wrong with it, although it certainly can be abused and can certainly trample over, you know, artistic things. Doesn't necessarily have to. Yeah, I don't understand exactly what what people binge watching Netflix gets Netflix. Because it seems like it means they're burning through their content faster, which doesn't seem like you know, a pure good for them. I could see how binging gets people more excited about a show, but for a more brief amount of time. But then I imagine it helps with word of mouth for that show, and I guess for the Netflix brand in general. Yeah. Maniac is the most postmodern show I think I've ever seen. Maybe with the exception of Super Jail. It's like nothing in that show was real or grounded. Some of the like even the characters' psychology and emotions, like all of that was just heightened and stylized in really funky ways. Maybe with the exception of the two main protagonists, they played it a little more grounded, but just the world that they're in is so random and wacky that, yeah, very, very interesting choices there. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad people are making interesting, weird TV stuff. Lisa says, yeah, I don't know. I don't really binge watch anything. I watch at a rather slow pace with lots of pauses. I think what Heather and I usually do is we'll put something on in the evening when I'm, you know, working on the computer here, and just however many episodes happen to be, you know, when I sit down and start working, and when it's time for bed, that is what we watch. I don't know if that counts as a binge. It took us probably about a month to get through Battlestar Galactica. Let's say a week and a half to get through, well, we went through Westworld Season 1 and 2 over the past couple of weeks. Just recently finished that up. Man, that show's incredible. Alita, have you started watching that show yet? It's on HBO. I don't know if you have HBO. I used to not, but by the time they got What is the show? Game of Thrones. That's the show. So you got Game of Thrones and Curb Your Enthusiasm and Westworld. It's like, alright, fine. And now there's going to be a new Disney streaming service for the Star Wars TV show I'm going to have to subscribe to. This area needs... Seems like a real dead zone. So we've got some more sagginess going on here, which I'm really liking. It looks kind of like draped curtains a little bit. And I feel like this needs to continue that a bit more. Yeah, paying for HBO is not the most fun thing. I keep thinking, well, I'll watch the seasons when they come out, and then I'll cancel the subscription until the next season comes out, and then I keep forgetting to do that, which I imagine is the case with most people. That's how they get you. Assuming the series will be on sale at some point, then I'll buy it. They still sell, I mean, I guess they still come out on DVD and Blu-ray and stuff. Man, it's crazy expensive to get them that way. Like, you might as well subscribe to HBO at that point. You're spending hundreds of dollars to get a full series. Evil Bunny says, I guess the reason Netflix wants binge watching is because it ensures the season gets watched, and if you're really immersed in the media, you're more likely to come back for the next season. Yeah. This says we got Game of Thrones usually for around $39 or something per season. That doesn't seem too bad. Okay, but add up, there's like 5 or 6 or 7 seasons or something like that. HBO subscription is like $10 a month. So if you had HBO for a year, that's like $120. And you get all the other shows like Westworld and most importantly Curb Your Enthusiasm. Beautiful Bunny says, with that said, the overall quality of Netflix originals is very high, higher than what you usually get on TV in my experience, so it's easy to binge watch. Yeah, certainly the ones that are, you know, usually highly recommended by people are usually very entertaining. They're definitely doing a lot of things right. Apparently they're very bad at adapting anime, but since I don't like anime in the first place, it doesn't affect me. The scales. There we go. Oh. Need to be scaling these down a little bit.
The tension is high to touch your face. In the events I fall from grace. The tension is high to feel your skin. The tempting fruits I've hidden within. The tension is high to touch your face. In the events I fall from grace. The tension is high to feel your skin. The tempting fruits I've hidden within. Your creeping eyes that agonize my soul. The soiled eyes that stare up the climbing tree. The comfort of feeling the heated cold.
I'm bothered by this line. It's not totally unbroken, but it definitely does. I guess it's not straight. It is swoopy. Good. Maybe I just need a little more sag on here to help balance that out. Yeah, this is a special power. Like it says, hopefully they get back to better at adapting the animes, but the slapstick comedy in animes doesn't translate well to using real people. Could be a big part of it. I think they need to adjust it slightly, but Bleach was still pretty fun. Love the special effects. I think that just did it. Yeah. All right. The only thing, so there was another thing I was doing earlier. I think I still want to do it here. Because I was going in and just selecting individual scales around the quill base, pulling them out just to give it a little more integration. Yeah, that's the list.
The tension is high to touch your face. In the events I fall from grace. The tension is high to feel your skin. The tempting bruise I've hidden within.
This whole scale is very poorly integrated. This scale, the scales are mostly just noise. And it felt really good. Yesterday, I was in the garage for the first time in, I don't know, like a month. I started filming a new tutorial that's not Shadow of the Colossus. I mean, it's Shadow of the Colossus related because it's about how to carve styrofoam to make a cool backdrop for photographing the Colossus, but it is just a different thing. It's really great. I was moving my whole body around. I was digging through supplies. I was organizing. I was thinking about real life 3D things. All stuff that you don't quite get when you do Zbrush sculpting. Yeah, I think this is going to be a good tutorial. I'm doing like ruined stone castle wall type stuff. So as usual, there's a lot of stuff out there on that subject, but I'll be combining my own techniques and putting my own spin on it. So. This says I gotta wait till we move to the new place, but I'd like to make something like that. But it needs to be able to withstand cat claws. Ooh, that's tricky. Yeah, most styrofoam art. I mean, there's coatings you could put on it, but then that diminishes the texture work that you do on it quite a bit. Yeah, actually, originally I was just going to do a kind of behind the scenes video. I try to do that once a season for when I send out my my newsletter, which at this point in my life I can only do once every 3 or 4 months. But I like to have something in there for people who care enough about me to be on my newsletter sign up thing. But then I realized that I could do the photo shoot as a behind the scenes, because there's going to be all sorts of like interesting, weird stuff going on with that. That could be its own content, and then I'll make a video on carving stuff for the main channel. Meerkat, how's it going? Sad lunch didn't happen last Monday. Hopefully we get some people together for tomorrow. Let's see, Lisa says, would like to make this castle. Oh wow, yeah. Saw that. That is super cool. Super cool. I'd love to do that as well.
You say you want to be like me, well, do it.
Yeah, I haven't had pancakes in, I don't know, like 3 weeks, so I totally want to get pancakes tomorrow. As soon as Pat gets back, I'm going to be kicking my butt and swimming at least 3 times a week, and then I will lose all my pancake weight. So it's fine to indulge right now. That's the story I'm telling myself. I started swimming. We swam, I don't know, 3 times, and then I found out I had cancer on my leg, and they had to cut a bunch of skin off, and so I couldn't go swimming for a while after that. But that's all healed up now, and I got no excuse except that Pat's not there to swim my seat right now. The swimming or the skin cutting? The skin cutting was about 2 weeks ago, I want to say. Got a nice big gnarly scar on my calf now. Hey, while you're here, Meerkat, as a value add to my audience, could you share some pictures of some of the Overwatch skins that you have made? Throw a link up there so I can show them off. I think a lot of viewers would enjoy those. The football chunk was only about maybe 1.5 inches long and about maybe 3/4 of an inch wide. But the results came back good. They got it all, so I'm happy with however much they need to cut to make sure there ain't none of that left. I'm super lucky that the only great outdoors I like is hiking in the shade, so because I'm at high risk for more of the cancer from the sun. I need to not hang out. I don't think it was a coincidence that it popped up after that big summer vacation I took with Shane, where we just were out in the desert under the sun every day for 2 weeks straight. So I blame Shane. It's his fault I got cancer. Yeah, ArtStation page would be cool. I just want to show off some of the cool stuff you do. For those who don't know, Meerkat is an incredible artist, and she used to work with me at ArenaNet. She pretty much designed the Sylvari. She certainly redesigned it almost single-handedly. They used to be a real mess, I'll tell you. Tossed salad and scrambled eggs, that's what they used to be. And then she made them look cool. The source of change stays the same. To go beyond this endless cycle that surrounds me like your rain. That was my friend's person for going and getting a bunch of hers done too. Every time we went out, I'd take her to breakfast and pie while she was still painkillered up, and then we would go back home and watch Tinkerbell movies. I didn't get any real painkillers. I just got local, shots in the leg. They were like, you could have Tylenol if you have pain. It's like, oh, well, thanks. These little bumpies, yeah, I think the bumpies definitely help integrate. go. Some of you may recognize some of these characters. Wow. That is quite the hard surface McDeely you got going on there. Second year anniversary event. Nice. Here's my favorite one. This one's pretty darn cool. I mean, they're all darn cool, let's be fair.
Rise and walk. Rise and walk.
Yep, that's the kind of stuff Kristen does. If you want to see a real character artist, check her out. Someday I'll be able to afford to hire her to make my crappy attempts actually good for once we start making TV shows and movies and stuff. Which I'm still waiting for them to invent a word for. What's a word for both TV and movies and internet shows? Just like visual motion pictures. There's someone needs to make a word for that, so I don't have to keep saying TV and movies. Like, there's not a significant enough difference to warrant the distinction. Yeah, I'll let you know, Kristen, when when our books come out, hopefully by the end of the year or early next year at the latest. I'm trying to get a table at Norwescon so I can sell these books. And they become a huge hit like Harry Potter or whatever, and we start developing our shows. I will definitely hit you up about getting some pro arts. I've been talking to McLean, who does a lot of the music for Guild Wars 2, about doing some Tales from Telefar music for audiobook, YouTube, podcast, etc., etc. And at some point, movies and TV. Yeah. It's cute. Purple and yellow. Are you going to come model it? Okay. Well, let me know when you're ready. Good job. Heather's been a mess this past week. She got really sick from the prednisone that she was on for 4 days. She was put on that because she was having a weird allergic reaction to like some surgery site glued dermabond. And then that just, like, the prednisone was way worse than what she was suffering. It was prescribed for. She thought she was going to die. I had to take a day and a half off work to watch her to make sure she wasn't going to die. And, yeah, so she's hardly slept, hardly ate. She lost 5 pounds this week, which she's already a stick to begin with, so that's no good. And then on top of all that, our car finally died. We had to buy a new car, which I hate cars. I hate buying cars. I hate that we had our car paid off and suddenly now we have car payments again. I mean, I think we got a good one, a good deal. We really like Mazdas. They seem to work well, except when you abuse them, like I abused the Mazda 5. And so we got it used. It's like 2016 and a half, but it's only got like 15,000 miles on it. So. This says I could ride a horse to work. Yeah, sure, that'd be way cheaper than a car, right? Right? Horses are definitely cheaper than cars. especially when they get sick all the time. If I need to call the vet. Damon's here? I don't see Damon. Oh, there he is. He's got so many icons before his name. He's got a sword, a star, and a crown that I couldn't even see his name. Yes, and I paid sticker price, so I'm sure I paid thousands of dollars more than I should have. It's so weird. I mean, a lot of it probably had to do with the state of mind of just like, it wasn't an emergency buy. It was kind of an emergency buy. It was like, well, you need a car now. Our current car is not drivable. But we could have borrowed my brother's car for a while and whatever, cancel appointments and move stuff around. And I talked it through. I was like, okay, hon, we do not need to go in here and buy a car. We don't have to have that pressure on us. And she's like, yep, absolutely. So we both had that in our minds, and yet her because she was starting to come down with the effects, the side effects of the prednisone, and me just because I'm a moron. I forgot you're supposed to barter. I hate that. I hate it so much. I mean, our salesman was a nice old grandpa and like a motorized cart who had COPD, so I'm sure he could use the extra money. I'll comfort myself with that. He wasn't like a slick, shark type of used car salesman. Cat says, as for the car, I've been pretty happy with my Honda for the past 14 years, but next to what I get, I'm trying for electric. Oh, I really wanted electric. Yeah. However, hopefully that happens way down the line. I'm running my car as long as I can. Yeah, my car that I drive to work is a 96 Plymouth Breeze, so it's kind of a miracle that thing still runs. Damon says, not a moron, don't beat yourself up. I used to hate it too, but now I pretend it's all a game and I want to win. Yeah, there's a lot of people who enjoy it, and yeah, they see it as a game. It's like, there's nothing I like about those kinds of games. I don't even like bluffing type games, tabletop games where you're supposed to lie or whatever. I don't know. I don't like being anything than utterly honest with people if I can help it. I mean, not that, bartering requires you to be dishonest, but there's just this uncomfortable thing where you're trying to take advantage of what you know about psychology better than they're taking advantage of what they know about psychology, and both of them are taking advantage of another person. Just goes back to not having a competitive bone in my body. Don't like competitive sports, don't like competitive games, don't like competitive competitions. I just want everyone to win. That's so bad. Thanks, Meerkat. I'll pass that along. Hopefully she's finally been able to start eating semi-normal. I think she wasn't able to keep food down for like 4 or 5 days. And the most she had was like a little bit of broth and what else? Like some juice. Yeah, she gets all the weird reactions to things that no one else gets. Like, her surgeon did not believe her for the longest time that the Dermabond, that she had a true allergic reaction to the Dermabond. Because it's so rare. And when something is that rare, it's easy to write off as, oh, it was probably something else. It was a misunderstanding. It was, you know, just... there's a variety of reasons people can believe things cause things that they don't. But since then, she's like awesome at doing medical research, so she found enough evidence to prove it to him. Unfortunately, he's the kind of doctor that actually accepts evidence. She's run into quite a few who don't, so we're just like, oh, if it's not something I learned 30 years ago in medical school, it can't be true. These scales here are way too big to blend into these little ones. Although, I mean, that's a pretty good smooth blend. But here it seems like it goes from like 10 to 4 in this little span. I'm not happy with that. That's better. They still get money, we still get a car, we both win. Yeah, I guess ultimately that's how you need to look at it. What's funny is, like, we had all the elements on our side, as in we were prepared to walk out at any time. We had done a ton of research on exactly the kind of car we wanted. We made it clear that we weren't interested in any upgrades, blah, blah, blah. Just like, we had all the things right. We just forgot to do the one thing that makes those things useful, which is say, okay, now give us a good deal on this. We had great credit. We were putting down a good chunk of money. Like, there's no reason that we could not have got a great deal. Except that I just literally forgot that that's what you're supposed to do when you go to dealerships. Yeah, sorry, I'm just going to keep beating myself up for it. I'm also upset because our insurance is doing... Like, I understand what they're saying. I just disagree with it. Like, they paid to fix our car. They paid some amount. You know, I had to spend $3,000 to get it back from Utah because of the ditch we scraped through in Utah, and then when we got it back, they did a thing and they determined, okay, it's a total loss, and they told us the amount we would get for that, you know, for them to take the car back, and then they said, oh, but that's being the amount we paid for the repairs in Utah are being subtracted from that. So it's like we're getting, we still lost money. We got nothing put forward into the next car. And it's like, isn't that the point of insurance, is to get you back at, or get you, is the point of insurance to get you back to where you were before? An accident happens, the reason you paid for insurance is to get you back to where you were before. Now, there are reasons why that can't happen perfectly every time. Like in our case, our car was only worth about $3,000 or $4,000, and it costs $3,000 to get it home. But still, I don't know. It's really upsetting to me. Yes, insurance exists to make money. That is ultimately the case. They exist because the state, it's mandatory to have it, and and they will treat you however they treat you. And if you don't like it, you go to another insurance where they'll probably be exactly as terrible. Kit says, maybe instead of continuing to kick yourself for things you would have done differently, instead use it to remind you for where to apply the lesson going forward. Next time you make a big purchase, make sure to cover all the bases that make you happy. Yeah. How do you record something like that so that it is available when you need it? I mean, I'm not going to buy another car for probably 5 years, and then at that point I will have completely forgotten about this whole incident. Well, look at it the same way I asked people to make critiques in the forums I modded. They either had to apply the lesson to the piece in question, or they had to make sure to apply it on their next work. Yeah. That makes sense to me. But again, that's something that you're going to be doing relatively soon again. Like, I can't even fathom how I forgot that you're supposed to make deals at dealerships. I mean, I'd gone over it in my head for, you know, probably a couple times in the year leading up to that, just knowing that at some point this car is having more and more problems, we're going to have to deal with this, blah, blah, blah. You know, I looked up things that you're supposed to do at dealerships, things you're not, you know, the do's and don'ts. And somehow, on the spot, I wonder if it was because so much of it was dealing with the financing. Like they couldn't give us as good of financing options as USAA, which is already our insurance and all that other stuff. So I was calling and dealing with that and like finding the info that they needed and figuring out passwords, and I bet that's what threw me. Now that I think about it. Walked out happy, it doesn't matter too much. I didn't walk out happy. I walked out miserable because I hate buying cars. I hate having cars. I hate the fact that I have to have a car. I hate everything about cars. I walked out super sad, and I'm still super sad. Meerkat says, look at it the same way as people. Oh, okay. So that Letha says, back when I had to get the Neon, I got a really bad deal on that. But the Toyota, I had learned things, and that purchase went way better. Yeah, I am 43. I should have learned all the things you need to learn about buying a car by now. Meerkat says, so sure you're not buying another car, but maybe you'll be switching phone services or deciding to upgrade a part of the house or something. It's because you don't like the wrassle. For that, I say learn how to be more comfortable with it. It's like getting over stage fright or nerves when talking to big groups at a convention, panel, etc. Yeah. True. Alita says, when you built your empire, the price of a car won't even matter. That's right. Hopefully when I've built my empire, buying cars won't be a thing that people do anymore unless you're fabulously wealthy and you just want to like tool around on a track. We'll just have whatever future technology makes it possible to not need a car. That would be super great. Demo Rose, hey, thanks for 100 bits. Says, I don't know if you like talking about your work here, but I'd like to thank you for it. I hope I'll be able to fall while jumping on the clock tower this year. It's very likely that you'll be able to fall on it. I don't think we've changed falling on the clock tower. And all the requisite cursing and complaining and commiserating that goes on in the lobby while you wait for your next turn. Letha, you're gonna try the clock tower a couple times? I mean, you know, you might as well try it, right? You never know when this will be the year where suddenly it clicks for you and you're like, oh, I could do this. This is easy. Letha says, when I'm a billionaire author, I'm going to have a chauffeur and say, I want this car to someone. Go get it for me, thanks. Probably Janae, even though her driving is slightly terrifying. It's funny, all the assist things that are in newer cars now, where it will automatically like slow down if someone pulls in front of you, or like turn your wheel if you start drifting out of the lane or whatever. And that sounds slightly terrifying to me. But at some point, it'll be so dummy-proof that, well, at that point, it should just be AI driving, which I'm more than happy with. Until they all simultaneously decide to drive us off a bridge, because we're not worth taking around. Alright. I think I'm pretty happy. The overall thing going on. I really want to finish the hand. Let's look at the hand. I think it's done, but I also feel like it might still need a tweak. Give me your hand. Oh, yeah, there's definitely still work to do down here. Okay, gave him cool gecko toes. Nice. Looks like I just gotta do little scales on the pads. Lisa says, "Don't fiddle." The kid says, "I think I managed the clock tower once. I like the Winter's Day blimp runs, mainly because I could eventually do them." I'm so glad that we were able to do that whole like diorama thing. Lisa says, "I don't recall blimp runs." The is it called Tox's Infinitarium or something? Is that? It's like it's a big inflatable golem, and you go inside of it, and it's like a diorama, a giant diorama of Tyria, and you can smash the buildings and stuff. That was my idea. I always wanted to do that in a game. What's funny is my friend Brad, he worked on a game called Psychonauts. You did exactly that same thing. You go through this huge, like, a miniature of a city, and you just play Godzilla in it. And I hadn't played that game yet. I thought this was the coolest idea that, for some reason, no one had done in a game yet. I was so proud of it. And then later I found out, oh, it had been done, like, a couple years before. Oh, wow. Lisa says, "You were terrible, so gave up." Okay. So I still gotta figure out what kind of spinneret give me in here. He needs to be able to extrude webbing from there. So one way he could do it is, you know, he's got his 6 fingers, so he could just be like pulling it out like that. So these may work to just be little nubbins. They may not need any fancy extra bits down there. That says, "OMG, that was our deadline for that first holiday." Oh, what was our deadline? Like 6 weeks from scratch? I wouldn't be surprised. No, it had to be more than that. Because I remember we ended up redefining, or designing the airship, like the look of the airship, several times. Daniel kept coming back with different concepts for it. Like, it was not going to be a big inflatable golem. It was going to be, you know, like an airship, like a toy airship looking thing. Like, nope, it has to be something crazy like this. We had already, I think we'd already built most of it when the marching orders changed. Oh, Halloween. Yeah, Halloween is crazy fast. Never again. That's right. Letha looking forward to the labyrinth. Yep. No, the first Halloween was not made in 3 weeks, but it was definitely super tight. It was the first Living World content that we made, and what, we came out in August and had to ship Halloween in, I don't know, it was probably two months. We probably had 5 or 6 weeks. I don't know. It was amazing how fast we pumped that out. Like, yeah, I remember the mini teams we had. We started with, I don't know, 4 or 5. We ended up at one point we had something like 8 Living World teams operating simultaneously. I was a coordinator on one of them for about a year, and those were crazy times. I'll tell you what. Yeah, Meerkat says a couple props were made for those because there were some prop artists that did it on their own time early. Like they guessed early and made something from their own hearts. It just fit in. Yep. Yeah, what didn't Meerkat work on Guild Wars? He did mostly characters, costumes, and the dye system. I know you were like one of the main color creators and namers, right? I need to find a good nail texture here. Meerkat says, my first concepts were Kurziks and factions. I remember the Kurziks. Grimstar says, what are you working on now? I believe you said design. Yeah, I switched to be a designer, and right now, what I'm working on is learning the scripting system. Like, I did a few things for Halloween this year, but it's just like way behind the scenes, just like renumbering things that needed to be, you know, there's this list of gates that you have to travel through, and we're adding some so that they need to be rejiggered in one way or another, so mostly that. At some point, I hope to be a level design lead. That's what I think I would excel at. Eventually, I want to be a game director for, like, you know, a small little game of some sort. That's my dream. Probably unlikely that's ever going to happen, but that's what I would like. Let's see, Lava 08 looks good. Might have the curve I'm looking for. So at least a decent base for some, just breaking up the surface a little bit. Not married to it yet. Meerkat says, I swear the holidays were shorter than that, Josh. I had to run the first schedules. I was principal on them at the time. It was crazy short. Well, no. Then you may remember better than I do. I mostly remember the brainstorming meetings and, like, shooting a bunch of stuff out there and being shocked how many of my ideas people were like, yeah, let's do that. It's like, really? Okay. Well, now, whose fault is it if you have crappy coffee, Meerkat? Yeah, who cares about me? I barely care about me. I don't expect anyone else to. Tell if this little bit of noise is helping or hurting. Looking at the distance, you're going to see it. You definitely want something to break up the surface. Meerkat says, I always wanted them to go with more of your ideas. Your input to the game was a breath of air and sorely needed. Aw, thanks, Meerkat. But alas, politics are politics, even in a gaming company. Yeah, it turns out wherever you put people together and they're forced to make decisions based on judgment calls, politics will happen. Demo Rose says, what if we built a giant clock tower and it falls apart and it's sprinting and it's jumping puzzles? Great, let's do this. Oh. Yeah, more or less, that's how it went. Yeah, I'm pretty much... It's my fault that jumping puzzles are in the game. I started putting them in all my maps, and then designers started getting excited about them and putting content in them. And then at some point, someone higher up was like, alright, this is a thing. This just needs to be in all maps. There should be a jumping puzzle in every map. And because they're fun to make, a lot of us level artists ended up putting multiple jumping puzzles in every map. So yeah, when Halloween came around, I was like, I want to make the ultimate jumping puzzle. A map just for a jumping puzzle. That's amazing. I'm going to make it as crazy as possible. Okay. Sounds good. Spinning. Yes, I gotcha. Okay, it says, as right there should be. You're the king of jumping puzzles. So glad you got in on that mechanic. It was one of my favorite things in the game. Yeah, it's weird. A lot of people, I don't know a lot. Some people certainly hate them, hate that there are jumping puzzles in an MMO, just because the engine is not terribly suited for it. And I can't disagree with that. Like, it definitely is clunky. Which is why I thought it was important that they always be a not mandatory thing. Like, just do them for fun if you want to.
By the way, this stuff is going to be shredded stuff, okay?
Okay. Letha says, I love the jumping puzzles, even if I can't do some of them. Good, that's the way it should be. McCat says, I'm frankly trying to deal with the crap you made us jump. Got me really good at jumping in every other game I play, so I have to thank you, good sir. Damon is asking if Heather is playing with Velcro.
Yep, I was.
As usual.
Going through old wallets.
Digging through old wallets, that's...
Well, I found old purses, and then it's like, oh, there's old wallets. And from, like, college Heather.
Oh, college Heather in the house.
Yeah, look, Brianna. She was...
Oh my god.
This is from 2000. 6 years old.
That's an old wallet.
Oh, it was way before I met you. I just found my Ellensburg library card.
Sweet, now you can finally go to the library in Ellensburg again. Let's go. Your cat says hi,
Hola.
and she also hopes that you feel better
Oh, thank you.
and gain your 5 pounds back.
You feel better. I need to eat though.
Yes, you do.
Start being gross. As does most people. Oh, the old license. Wow. This is like
Were you 16 in that picture?
probably. If you're even old enough to drive.
Yeah, I could see why the question would come up.
Just throw away your old
I keep them for fun. My favorite driver's license from years past was when I first moved to Washington, 2003, and so it was like the darkest, most difficult time in my life, and so I was chubby, miserable, pale, just a nervous wreck, and so the picture of me looks like a mugshot. I just look like this sullen. I don't even know how to describe it. I look crazy, and then they misfiled me as female, so so on top of looking crazy, and so we ended up in a car accident. We were going on a vacation. My dad, I think, was driving, and someone fell asleep, drifted into our lane, and so we got spun all around. All sorts of delightful, lifelong injuries for many of us. And when the cop was taking all our IDs, he looked at mine, looks at me again, and he gets like almost like angry. I don't know what it was. He was like, "It's just right." He points to the F on the female on my license. No. Like, you need to get this fixed. It's true, I am still very pale, Dana. And apparently I will be for the rest of my life because I'll get cancer otherwise. Oh, Meerkat has 10 extra pounds she can give you.
Thank you. Hopefully there. You can go to my booth.
Oh, yeah. As long as they're body part agnostic. No, it's totally acceptable. I need to look at some reptile feet. I always forget the name. Reptile. That's what I'm looking for. Not helpful. That's more better. Okay. I'm trying to see, man, reptile knuckles are just like impossible to make out. They're just like curvy, floppy bits. Like, you know, there's got to be knuckle bones in there somewhere. But I guess one thing I'm not seeing is what I have going on here, where there's like a big knuckle plate scale thing.
That's a way better diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
2004.
That's right when I met you, 2004.
Probably, yeah.
So one thing I'm going to play with a little bit is merging the scales down, because again, scales are not plates of armor that are like tacked onto the skin. They are just hardened lumps of skin.
Excellent.
So it can sometimes be nice to pull them down into it. I guess these would be kind of specialized scales in some sense, like these knobby alligator bits. Not quite sure what shape I want to get out of them yet. Just gonna experiment a little bit. Little trifoil look, I think, works. Yeah, moderation. What a lifelong skill to learn, huh? It's so useful in so many areas of life. I'm gonna do something subtle to break these up from being just like blob plates over there. I don't know if that was the right thing or not, but it was at least something. Cat says, well, for general populace, there are exceptions, like what Heather is going through. For that, the Band-Aid is long-term because it's necessary for healing and not a symptom of habits. But for a lot of people, figuring out where the balance is a lifelong journey, like you said. Yep. I've only recently paid attention enough to be able to feel and understand how much my body will burn if I don't do anything and sit at the computer. Before, when I went with classic numbers, I was putting on weight. Oh yeah, like 2,000 calories, like that old canard. It's like, yep, if you're out working in a field all day, 2,000 calories is great. If you're a daemon and you're chopping down trees all day, yes, eat 2,000 calories. The answer is just get off my derriere and do other things. And I do, but not enough. Until I make sure I don't weight creeps like my gene pool wants me to. Yeah. Yeah, my genetically, like, if I'm not constantly at a deficit, like, for me, the magic number seems to be around 14 or 1,500 calories a day. Anything more than that, and my weight will not drop, and like, above that, yeah, my love handles just start blimping up like you would not believe. In an apocalypse, I would do really well because it would not take many calories to keep me all bulked up. Damon says, I have to eat about 35,000 a day with all the running I do right now. Holy crap. 35,000? I mean, 3,500, obviously. But still, that's what I eat. Like, if I let myself just eat whatever I want throughout the day, like from morning to night, that's about how much I'll eat. But it's mostly going to be cereal, donuts, cookies. Damon says, but my gym starts a statewide photo contest tomorrow. Some I'm going to seriously cut. I don't understand, because running, as far as I can tell, like, if you run for a couple miles, you'll burn a couple hundred calories? That's my general impression, certainly from being on treadmills and bikes and stuff. Maybe real life jogging is drastically different, but I don't see how it could be that much different. I mean, you're fairly tall, right, Damon? You're like 6 foot, somewhere around there? Which I guess nowadays isn't actually tall. It's probably average at this point, but for you young whippersnappers, for kids born in the 70s, we're all like 5'3". Cat says, I'm sure my folks will freak out when I visit them and they see my eating habits. The Midwest will not approve. Oh my gosh, yeah, you gotta have corn and potatoes at every meal. It's like the two worst things you possibly have if you're trying to lose weight. Lots of bread, dinner rolls. Letha says, I'm trying to have a good relationship with food and exercise, not starving myself or over-exercising anymore. I'm pretty sure that for me, a 30-minute jog burns about 35 calories. Yeah, that's my feeling too. Damon says, just shy of 6. 6 what? 6 calories? Meerkat says, yeah, I agree. I taught myself not to crave some foods like potatoes and corn and pastas, and now I actually want Brussels sprouts and fresh fruit and carrots, etc. I had to change my habits, not be on a diet. Yeah, you gotta just say, this is my new life. From now on, I'm going to be eating like this. Otherwise, you'll obviously just revert afterwards, and it will have been a huge waste of time and mental energy. Damon says, my run Saturday burned 1,852 calories. I don't know if I accept that. How is that tracked? How accurate is that tracking? These are things I'm curious about. I mean, if you're eating 3,500 calories a day and not getting super fat, congrats. That's great. I don't understand the physics of how that works, but great. Okay, you ran 12 miles and burned 1,800 calories. So a mile is a little over 100 calories. Training for a half marathon at the end of the month. That's great. Whenever I jog, I end up hurting an ankle. I just become an instant old man. I'm like, oh, can't do it. Oh. It's great. Lifting weights is perfect for me because it's slow and methodical, and I can like really watch my form, make sure I'm doing things properly. I don't care. People can deal with crunching.
Well, if it gets annoying, I can tell them I can.
You guys let me know if Heather's annoying crunching gets too loud for you, and I'll send her to the bedroom. Banish her.
To the room!
It says, if I start exercising more when I get down to my favored weight, then I'll level out my cows back to what I'm needing. I don't want to be thin, I want to be svelte and strong, but I don't want the fat creep of age. Yeah, fat creep of age ain't no fun. It's so funny, my friends and coworkers who are like in their late 20s, early 30s, who are complaining about suddenly, they can't eat and drink as much as they used to, and they're starting to get fat. I'm like, oh man, just you wait till your 40s. Good times await you. Glory M just subscribed. Thanks, Glory M. Welcome.
There must be like a normal... Okay, part of gaining weight is just part of the thing, right? So there must be...
You mean part of your metabolism slowing as you age?
Yeah, like there must be some measurement or rubric that says, you know what, you're going to gain a little bit and that's okay, you know? But I wonder if there's like, expect to gain some weight and that's fine, that's like healthy, right? But where is the cutoff between not? I don't know, because
I think strength probably has a lot to do with it. Like if you're still strong enough to do the things you need to do to stay healthy and active.
Well, you have to use your muscles though to be strong.
Yeah.
Really the worst part of gaining weight is if it's because we're not, doing activity and working our muscles. Because at some point, for men and women, the only way to keep your bones okay is by actual
your bones need stress on them.
Muscle strength and stuff, which I'm worried about because
you can't move without breaking or bending the wrong way or whatever.
Well, tearing, it's my joints. Like if I even tried lifting weights, right? Well, it doesn't work my muscles, it works my joints.
Right.
Because they're trying to hang on for your life. So that's bad. But They also said that, like I was told that I shouldn't. You don't want to be old and thin. It's like.
Yes, old and thin is bad.
It's
Although it's
actually-
probably better than old and fat.
Well, it's bad because you need extra weight to be old and be healthy. Because the whole point is if you get sick,
Yeah,
you
you
have
need
no
some cushion.
reserves.
Yeah.
You have nothing, and things go downhill fast.
That's
so again, some weight is like good. I don't like
Yeah, I imagine evolutionarily it's because as you age, the amount of physically demanding tasks you do is expected to diminish. Just because things are more fragile. And so it makes sense that metabolism would slow to keep you from to give you that extra padding for when things break down, as they do more often.
Mm-hmm.
Damon is 37. What did I miss?
Damon's 37.
Yep.
Really? I'm sure we talked about that, but
Oh,
Looks like
Damon is just
27.
shy of 6 foot, and according to his Fitbit, your Fitbit tells you how tall you are. Meerkat says, "Jeebus, Damon, yeah, I kind of envy you guys can do more with that kind of height. I'm 5'2", so every 100 calories really makes a difference." Yeah. Damon
Wow.
says, "Well, a couple months ago, 2 miles was hard." And then BoJack Horseman gif, and then, "Well done, Damon. My ankles, shins, knees hate running." Yep, mine too. I can't even get into a full squat because of the tension in my ankles, but yoga helps with that. Letha says, "My cats like to help me with stretches after a workout. They sit on my shoulders and stuff." Damon says, "First day at the gym was January this year. Didn't even go the full 45 minutes of class before heaving my guts. Now I run because the gym isn't enough." Nice.
Because of what?
The gym isn't enough. Meerkat says, "My favorite bit is when the near 30 folks are starting to complain about their joints and carpals and all that from computer time. And I remember telling them to get their habits in gear early and for how to do this career. Boy, if they don't listen to their bodies, they're going to cripple themselves." Yeah, I'm just hoping technology, medical technology catches up fast enough to save me when I'm old so I can still do art. Damon says, "They say that strength exercise is vastly more important than anything else as you get older."
I walk.
Meerkat says, "Weight help put stress on the bones and connections that keep you building to withstand it." And Meerkat says, "Why was my message flagged?" And the answer is, I don't know. I just clicked strong bully word. Oh man, I don't know what's going on here.
It's because of the crunching, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably Heather's crunching.
like-
Flagged your post as inappropriate.
It's just making the whole system go haywire. What is this sound? Twitch isn't used to it. Not a lot of you.
Oh my god, I've seen so many people on Twitch like eating chips, smacking with their lips so loud while they're talking to people. I'm like, why are you doing that? Please stop. I guess it doesn't bother some people. I mean, there's a whole genre of ASMR where people want to hear those kind of sounds. Tapping and clicking and scraping and chewing and whatever. Damon says, "I look younger than my age, Heather. Always have. Only the onset of gray hair the last few years has started skewing me older." Nice. Yes. I probably have some gray hair. I just don't know about it yet because I've bleached the heck out of it.
I know that I've had like a couple gray hairs. Usually, but I mean, it's really rare. Like, I think my hairdresser has only seen it a couple times over my whole life, like
Yeah.
2 or 3
Oh,
at most this whole time.
you're 38 now, right?
But, yeah, but there's hairs that I'm like, this is gray for sure. And she's like, no, that's just really blonde. I'm like, what? I don't, it's, she's like, no, you can tell by the root. And so I have some hair right now, since my roots are grown out, that it looks kind of like sparkly white,
Sparkly
but
white.
so do my blonde, really blonde hairs, which I don't have really blonde hair. I have dirty blonde hair.
So dirt.
But yeah, doing it highlights doesn't matter.
Damon says Twitch added a whole subject of just people streaming eating.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's super bizarre.
Maybe that's my new job.
Yeah, might as well try it.
And avoiding, like, dislocating my jaw or something.
So, now that I have a little better idea what I'm trying to do, this side should go a lot faster. Let's go and do a little ridge. Platform.
You know, I haven't had, like, meal leaf or anything for 3 days.
Oh wow. Did you get that appointment for your treatment?
Is that
Your-
prolotherapy?
Yeah, Prolo stabbing
No.
you in the hip with
No.
poison.
I haven't, but it was, I mean, basically it was because during when I was, like, really, really ill, one day I had, like, an actual, like, pretty bad migraine,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wanted to take an Excedrin. So I waited the Aleve out, and then I took an Excedrin, like, but I only took one, like half the dose, and it totally knocked the headache out. And then I haven't had anything since.
Have you been having migraines?
Well, I had the migraine because it was like sick. It was like one of the more persistent ones.
Yeah.
From the prednisone, but that was like, I think that was, I don't remember what day that was. It must have been like Wednesday, because Wednesday is when the nausea kicked in. So I might have taken it like before it got really bad, because it just progressed. Like, the nausea wasn't even that bad before or during, you know, the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But afterward, you know, I just got sicker and sicker and sicker. So I don't think I took it Thursday, because Thursday I couldn't even. You had one potato chip, and I, like, almost lost it. And you ate it in the kitchen, but I could smell it, like. So I don't think I took any pill. I don't think that was the day.
I tortured Heather by eating a potato chip in the kitchen. And she was in the living room.
And I could smell it.
I could
and
smell it and almost threw up. It's amazing. I'm telling you, she has wolf senses.
I told Josh to tell me, to remind me, like, when I don't feel like doing anything, remind me how sick I am right now. Just remind me how sick I am. So remember how sick you were that you wish you could do? Like hang out clothes or whatever. So that's what I did today.
It's good. Did some
That
stuff.
hurts. But honestly, Aleve is ridiculous and doesn't do crap for me anyways, and I think that's why I still have the same pain as I normally have.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Aleve helps in the background. It's the only thing I can take that doesn't produce those severe feelings. But I'll have to be off Aleve anyways for prolotherapy. But I just got my second shot out.
apparently there's new migraine medicine, and it's this.
It is Aimovig's, and this thing has gone through so many years. Like, I think like almost 10 years of testing. It's a blocker for CGRP levels.
CGRP blocker?
Yeah, CGRP, it's like a CGR blah 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 something protein, but the CGRP levels, they recognize that we're really, really high in a person's blood who is about to have a migraine or during migraines. And CGRPs are always high in people who are having migraines. And it's the one thing that they actually found to be happening in, I think, everyone. So that's why we have all these different little, like, drugs, migraine meds, all these different types, but they only work for like 0.5% of people have migraines. Because migraines is like a very complicated, multi-system feedback loop, and it's pretty delicate to try to figure out how to treat them. But anyways, so the CGRP, this blocks the receptors in my brain, so I don't receive CGRP levels. But things that induce higher CGRP levels in our blood are basically all NSAIDs. So Excedrin migraine, Tylenol, ibuprofen, aspirin, everything except Prolie for whatever reason. Of course, like the one that doesn't work. But all of those increase significantly those levels if you use them more than 9 times in a month. And
They just acclimate your body to it?
it builds.
Okay.
It starts building, and so really the whole like rebound headache thing is more accurately described by CGRP levels being boosted up in your blood. And so even like the migraine abortive drugs, where like Imitrex, where you take one pill right at the beginning when you feel one starting to come on, and then take a second pill. But those you can only, like, prescriptions, you only get like, I think maybe 15 pills total in a month, and you're not allowed to take more than that. And I think it's because those also build CGRP levels. But the problem is those drugs might help treat symptoms, but they're not actually going to stop a chronic migraine person from having migraines. So it's like one of the many treatments that you could reach to. But anyways, they'll be non-effective if the person CGRP level is so high. They will not work. And that's why a lot of them don't work for people in general, is because the levels are already too high for the CGRP.
So does that shot actually reduce your CRGP level, or just make you not notice them?
Well, it doesn't reduce it, but it reduces your brain the receptors.
Okay. So
they're not going to mess with you can't, they might be in your blood, but they're not going to, like, connect, basically. So anyways, this drug is helpful, especially because if you're treating many symptoms and many, like, systems, this drug can really help get a person off. Maybe like my beloved go-to was Excedrin migraine. Did it take away the migraines? No, but it was the one thing, it dulled them down. But I literally had a migraine nonstop. Like, it never left.
Yeah.
I've never gone more than 12 hours in 1 year without a migraine. So it's
just not acceptable.
Yeah. So anyways, this helps bring it down so that you can start working on other things, and, yeah.
Okay. Meerkat says, my sensei once said there were studies that said if you think about eating a food you may not be able to, like desserts if you're on a diet, the brain releases chemicals that makes your body believe you had eaten it and you gain some weight. So I heard about that, a similar thing when it came to like diet colas and stuff, saying that because your brain gets those sweet flavors, it basically prepares your digestive tract to receive those, so it bumps up your, I think insulin and stuff like that, regardless of whether or not the real thing is coming to it. But I think it's overly simplistic to say that you then gain weight as a result. It's just that you're primed to gain weight. If you drinking Diet Coke and then eating a cheesecake at the same time is probably a pretty bad 1-2 punch. But if I remember, this was years ago that I was reading this, so I'm probably totally misremembering. Whereas if you're just like eating a steak and drinking a Diet Cola, it's not going to have a negative effect. Your cat says, I haven't found the studies, but it's an interesting thought. Our brains can do so much. Yup. Damon says, the placebo effect is amazing. Your cat says, well, it's one of the reasons why I trained myself to want other foods and not the things that wouldn't help me, just in case. Yeah, if you can do that, man. I don't know how to train myself to not crave donuts and cookies, though, because, man, donuts and cookies are so good. Maybe I just need to stop saying that they're so good, and then I'll stop believing that they're so good.
What's it?
Donuts and cookies. And cereal and pancakes.
Ever since I stopped gluten.
Yeah, you don't have...
Food doesn't react the same way in my brain.
Yeah, you don't get the pleasure chemicals from it.
No, but because gluten, you're addicted.
Yeah.
It releases things that. That's why it's so I could never stop that. You know. But how many times were we double?
Of course, you say that about dairy as well.
Well. Yeah, but it doesn't. It's because I can't eat anything.
Yeah, you're so limited
and I barely like
else.
anything. I actually just don't care about food.
Yeah.
Eating.
I wish I didn't care about food.
Eating is usually annoying.
Yeah.
By the time I'm hungry, I'm I'm about to go for a walk, and I'm damn it. And now I have to eat. No, I don't have time to eat. And it's hello, if a normal person would have eaten hours ago, but the mornings trying to put food is my body is don't. Evil. Do not keep that down.
Damon says, I still think Heather should become a bubble girl. Yeah. Should definitely get her a big bubble. But it would have to be a hamster bubble because she needs to go on her walks. Or she would go stir crazy.
We'd have to get a different car to accommodate that.
Yeah, a bubble car. Alita says, Pumpkin is having a very hard day. I'm watching your live stream and not taking him outside. Oh my goodness, poor Pumpkin. Damon says, just give Pumpkin some whipped cream. Alita says, I already did. He doesn't need any more. Gotta fatten him up for Halloween. Oh, that's right. Then you could carve him. Alita says, does that new migraine med work all right?
I mean, I think so, because
How long has it been since you had a real headache like you did before?
That's the thing. I should have been you notice when things come back, but you don't notice when they kind of just sneak away. And, honestly, I think the very fact that I have gone 3 days, because I have full control. I will say I am migraine free in that it does not control me, right? Even if I have a headache or a migraine, that once I take a leave, it's gone. like it actually goes away. And I don't like lay down in the dark and all that. Like my brain just doesn't really care.
I mean,
Like
you've never done that with your migraines.
I know, but I've always
You just
had.
power through anything.
Well, I've
usually.
always had pain. It's one thing when you don't have pain and then you have pain.
Yeah.
But my whole life I've been working around pain. So to me, it's like different. But I mean, I've had those times where I've had like you've come out and I have like the heating pad over my face and a blanket,
Yeah.
and you know. But laying down though makes them worse just because of my disease on my neck. It's so unstable. It just makes everything worse. And I know people are like, how could you? If you don't have to lay down, then there must be not a migraine. It's like, please, give me a break. I know migraines, but yeah. Anyways, I have done a lot better. Like, I had that migraine that kicked up a couple days ago when I was like really sick. I took an Excedrin just because I wanted it to be gone and I didn't want to have to wait around for a leave. It was just like, I could tell it was like a more brutal migraine. And it's okay for me to take Excedrin, again, just not more than 9 times. But I've taken it like maybe 5 times total since March when I stopped Excedrin. So, anyways, yeah, I must be doing something because I have not had even headaches. Like if there's pain, I'll acknowledge it, and then I just kind of be like go do something else. So the fact that the migraines can they actually like even if they show up in the day, they go away. Like it's absolutely amazing. I don't know how to explain it because people want to hear like, oh, well, you said you're migraine free. I'm like, well, I am. Like you don't, the life of chronic migraines, I'm free of that completely. I don't have that. I still have like, the migraines will pop up once in a while.
You get migraines, but they don't control your life.
Yeah, I totally take care of it within an hour. All gone. They actually leave. So, and I'm not afraid of the migraine. There comes a point where if you've had like your normal life and then you start getting migraines and then they like literally start putting you in bed for days or weeks, a month. That's like significant and there's like a trauma in your brain and until you become afraid of that, which yeah, it makes sense because it's something taking away your life. And so that anxiety makes people really afraid of migraines too.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's all about like who you dub, headache clinic. The director of the Dub Headache Clinic and Community Clinic, like the Dub Headache Clinic, and actually texted her like Friday night, asking her if she was has ever thought of doing one of her seminars, but like really focused it on like middle to eastern Washington, so that she can reach people all over. Because she's like, oh, it's really oh, thank you for reaching out.
Did you ever make those videos? Those other videos?
No, I don't think so. I mean, she was gone for like, I don't know, a long time at a convention that they asked her to speak at in Budapest. And it was like, she said it was like awesome because basically most of her travel, almost like entire vacations because it was like a world seminar. Really busy, and plus she has to fund those videos herself because UW doesn't have money to do it.
Well, let's charge her a ton of money to do it.
Yeah, she's a contractor. It's gonna be really bad for UW the day that she decides
Get her own
to quit
practice.
working there, yeah, and open up her own practice because the UW there's so many constraints on their doctors and their non-compete clauses and their anything, you're gonna get paid 90 to 30% for the physician assistant or specialist. So you could have spent 12 years becoming a specialist in med school versus someone in the PA program that did 2 years and get the same pay. Plus you have to do overnights in hospitals, you're on call. So
Aletha says, yay for less headaches. And then pumpkin and molasses were squeezing into a box and it broke and dumped them out. And Damon says, obviously you need a pie crust shaped box.
mm-hmm.
They would fit amazingly.
Just kind of, his blubber can just kind of spread out. Pumpkin. Can you tell them that I should your mom over here?
No, I haven't yet. For the record, my mom will be on a live stream next week, I believe. At least she has no excuse not to be. Let's just put it that way.
These shots though, man, like they're the pins, so they have the spring, so it's like an auto-injecting one.
That's what my Humira does.
Yeah, and they're so like
Snaps into you.
they're so violent. It's like someone punching you with a needle, and you're like, does it really have to be that bad? It doesn't, except for an auto-injector, sure. Because people don't want to, I mean, people are afraid of needles already, but I mean, this is not helping up here. But the people...
It's better to me than a needle. I would much rather do the auto-injector than actually plunge it in.
Yeah, you don't see the needle, but you have to like... Yeah, anyway, but loading your needle and then having to do it yourself, like, I get that. But man, it feels like you got... It even sounds like you'll probably hear it.
Yeah, I do not look forward to my auto injections.
I mean, you're like bruised in the stomach. And ironically, it's better to squeeze your stomach, like get a stomach fat roll and do it,
Yeah.
than trying to do it in your leg. Because if it's near muscle, it really hurts. So it's better avoiding that and getting it fast. Last time I feel like I had this like bruise. It's like bending over my head. What is that? I already like forgot. I'm like, how does this hurt?
How often do you take those injections? Once a month?
Although it's been longer. This is my second one of the free trial. We're doing two. Free trial. They were running late with my second one. And then I got it like 5 days after I had it. And then I got sick. And I didn't want to put more chemicals in my body. It's all really painful. there was something to I need to ask you about that. But before, like, the sound
Is there a hole in my mesh there? It's kind of disturbing. Alrighty. Yeah.
Ew. That's not good. Do you ever have to squeeze out?
Sometimes a little bit. Did you keep it in for 10 seconds?
I mean, it went all the way through.
I usually just leave it in for about 10 seconds to be absolutely sure. But, I mean, who knows how different our shots are, and who knows if
But
that's
you've
even a
had,
good strategy.
You've had some come out like that?
Yeah.
I think it's
Like
because
all
it's
drop.
freezing it. I mean, it definitely went in.
Mhm.
There'd be a lot more, too, if it didn't. Right? Shoot, that made me worried. Last time I waited forever.
Yeah, if it's just a drop, I wouldn't worry about it.
I even have the mark, like, let's see.
I want the... Oh, turn off perspective. There we go. Okay. So I want his hand to be right where his feet touch the floor. Yeah. Okay, and I'm going to duplicate this here hand. Actually, I'm going to make 2 duplicates, so I will have one hand that is always in just this default state, and then I can pose the other ones without worrying. I can always go back to the default. It says, when I was on blood thinners, I always stuck a fat roll in my gut. My music is a bit loud. Stuck a fat roll in your gut? What does that even mean? It doesn't help that this is terrible music to begin with. Oh, with the needle. You stuck a fat roll. Your blood thinners, you used a needle to inject into a fat roll. Yes. That's why you don't want to get too thin or you won't have a fat roll to stick it in.
Yeah.
Just kidding. That's never a problem. Okay, I think I need to hide a little bit of Scolla's body.
Are you gonna want to eat before we go? 'Cause it's 4 o'clock.
It's 4? No. I'm almost wrapping it up. I don't need to eat. Okay, I gotta adjust these little roly folds so they fit the knuckles.
I'm pretty annoyed that theoretically the speakers in this new car should be like,
Way better?
yeah.
They're not way better enough for you?
I don't think they're any better.
Well,
I don't think so. I mean, they're the same bass type, basic level speakers in general, as in they're the bass, bass line. But this car is like 10 years newer.
yeah, you would expect sound quality of default speakers to have improved.
And even if it was the same bass kind of speakers that they used in our car, it should sound at least the same. I mean, this car technically is smaller than our other car. So, I mean, shouldn't it just be better?
No, I don't know. Alright. Letha, where am I going? We're gonna run to the hardware store. I've got to get some more foam for my tutorial. And, you know, grocery store, errands, hang out. Heather's gonna practice driving the new car. That sort of thing. Yeah, I think I will not pose this yet. I'll save that for next stream. Where's my boy Scolla? Where is your body? That's nice. I need to delete this. This is useless. Oh, okay. it just showed the arm. That was very cool. This is also useless.
Is it hard to do Lego funny?
I don't know. Yeah, he's looking pretty good. He's almost done.
From the seeds was sent, which was sowed, starting from the culture.
And does IRS and stuff, like, do they see that kind of stuff? Like, if we were to try to raise money for...
I don't know how taxes deal with GoFundMe's and Kickstarters and that kind of stuff. I'm sure they say on their websites.
Like, medical, like, you know what I mean? Like, there'd be like medical stuff in there.
Alright, we're going gold. Alright guys, thanks for joining me today. Damon, thanks for the skull head. And, oh, I was going to say go to my website and sign up for my newsletter, but my website's broken. And it's been broken for weeks, and I don't know if they're ever going to get back to me. I'm super bummed about that. That's like one of 8 different, like, awful things that I have to call companies and sit online for hours. And you know what? Let's not end on a negative note, shall we? Look how cool Scolla looks, all gold. Okay, we'll see you guys next time. Yeah, hopefully we'll see you at lunch tomorrow, Meerkat. And everyone else, I'll see you Wednesday night. And it'll be grand. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.